The Visionaries has been made possible in part by TH Properties, a residential development company. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. Additional funding has been provided by the following.
Let it be me. This is not a fighting song. Let it be me. Not a wrong for a wrong. Let it be me. If the world is light, shine my life like a light.
Liberty, independence, freedom. Have these words lost their meaning? Have they become historical cliches that fall on deaf ears in a society where their impact is taken for granted? In this episode of The Visionaries, you will meet people for whom these words still ring. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Ukrainians rejoiced in their newfound nationhood, but they were also left to fend for themselves. In the medical community, doctors faced severe supply shortages and sometimes had to take mandatory unpaid vacations. Today, you will meet Roman Dashawetz, who set out to prove just how big a ripple one drop can make. Over the last decade, emergency medical aid to Ukraine has helped facilitate hundreds of life-saving and life-changing procedures on children. In their pain, Roman sees tomorrow's hope. Future leaders who will heal and lead Ukraine toward a new kind of independence.
Taras is a little boy from a village in Ukraine. He touched a high power line that had fallen and got severely electrocuted. When I see Taras in such pain, I just feel driven to take him under my wing. And now we're faced with taking Taras once again into surgery. Taras's life is kind of like the life of Ukraine. It has to get mended. In 1991, Ukraine became independent of the Soviet Union. I saw an opportunity to give a hand in building a country.
Both of my parents are from Ukraine. My dad was born in 1913 and my mom was born in 1925. During World War II, when the Germans came to Ukraine, my dad at that time was a prisoner of war. He had been at the Polish front and landed in Germany.
My brother and I were both born in refugee camp in Germany. Unfortunately, my dad died a year before independence. He would have been thrilled that both my sister and I work in the medical care of Ukraine today.
Oh, the first time I came, heart-wrenching. That puts it all in that word.
It was very dark. The hospital inside was dark. It was such a stark picture of what Ukraine was medically, really. There was a mother holding, we found out later, about a 9-year-old boy who was dying of a brain tumor. And we tried to offer medication to the doctors to ease his pain and suffering and his swelling in his brain. And they said, we don't have enough medicine. What you give us is it. We're going to save it for children that we know will survive. 3 days later, the boy died.
And that's when I decided this was going to be my work. And 11 years later, we're still doing it.
The mission of EMAU, right from the beginning, was to provide technology, provide supplies, provide a collegial teaching atmosphere.
Is there concern the appearance of the lip? Is that what bothers them?
We come here with specialists from the United States.
1 year and a half.
Ukrainian children have birth defects, severe, because of heavy metal poisonings. We have severe traumas, accidents.
He's an 18-year-old. A truck ran over her leg.
We have safety issues such as open fires.
This is a little boy who was a fire in the village house. He escaped with burns, with severe burns, torso, arms, neck, head, and his sister tried to hide from the fire, went under a bed, and she perished. Ukraine, to many people, is Chernobyl. We do get radiated children, where you might have digits growing out of an area at the elbow.
It's just a absolute stream of patients, mostly children. It seems like everyone you see is a bit worse off than the previous.
One of the mistakes that people make when they talk about independence is that they think that freedom will give them instant everything. It's not true. Ukrainians have a terrible economy, a terrible medical system.
I have to say that for the treatment of our patient for 1 day, we have only $1 in our budget. So it goes without saying. We don't have to say any more about that.
Ukraine's problem, as far as medical care, has to do a lot with non-responsiveness by officials to problems. Taras was, for instance, playing in the field. There was a high power line that had fallen. The town officials had called administrators in the region, and they got no response for weeks. Taras lost part of an arm, has damage to his skull, bone, which has to be fixed someday. The intravenous is running fine. I just told the surgeons that they can wash up, they can scrub up. Taras is ready for surgery. Axillary roll. Okay. I'm going to support his head a little bit. 3 months ago, we put in tissue expander in order to get more tissue, more skin. The purpose of this surgery today is to take down the tissue expander so that we can begin to correct the defects that are on his head.
You can't get a free look at the expander.
We've been waiting since 7 this morning. We've been awake and very anxious. This has been the 17th, 18th, 19th surgery. I can't even count anymore. And with every surgery, there is anxiety.
Thank you.
Шкіра гарна, є досить його.
То ми будемо починати трохи йому на голові розширяти. Я думаю, що ще, я би сказав, може ще приблизно десь 45 хвилин. Добре?
When I see Taras's passage from one stage of surgery to another, and I see the improvement, I remember it vividly. One doctor said to me, "We think you do great work, but it's a drop in the bucket." And I think back to those children when their moms are with them and their dads. Their child is not a drop in the bucket. In a country like Ukraine, which is still looking for its charismatic leaders, maybe Taras could be the president of Ukraine. I never thought when I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old that I would be meeting with officials in the United States, in Ukraine, helping children survive terrible ordeals. Every child has potential that we just can't know. And so, to my mind, that's what we're doing. We are saving potential for the future.
Taras has recovered from his latest procedure, but doctors say he faces many more surgeries as they carefully reconstruct his damaged scalp. Roman and his team will be there for every stage of the process.
If you would like more information about the Visionaries, the organizations profiled, or the Visionaries Institute of Suffolk University's Master of Science degree in Philanthropy and Media, call 1-800-647-55